Welcome students to another day in the foods classroom. Today we're going to be talking about how you correctly steam a vegetable, and we're choosing to take and steam carrots. When you steam a vegetable, it is the proper way to cook it using moisture. I don't ever want to have my vegetable all the way submerged in a whole lot of water simply because the nutrients that are water soluble will rather be in the water and you will lose them from your vegetables. So we want to be aware of that as we consider how we want to take and prepare our vegetables. And steaming vegetables is a classic way to do it. You can end up working with a steaming basket, which is something that looks a little bit like this. This one's made out of metal and it opens up and expands to be in a big pan or smaller and smaller. It also could be made out of silicone, so it's good for your pans that have a nonstick finish on them because at the very bottom there are these little legs. Can you see them? That is going to hold the vegetable probably about 3/4 of an inch up off the bottom of the pan. And what will be down here at the bottom is water. And then as the water boils, it gives off steam, and then the vegetable inside of here is going to cook by that steam, which actually is hotter than the boiling water itself. That's why we get steam, is because the water has to change form into steam as it gets to a higher temperature. Our instructions tell us that, I've gone ahead and gathered my ingredients, I have washed my hands, I've assembled my equipment, so I'm ready to go. In the first of this recipe, it says that we're going to place the water in a small saucepan and put on a lid. The question is, how much water do we use? And the answer to that is a small amount. I want to have my vegetables being cooked by the steam, not by being submerged in the water. So it's about 1/2 inch. When we have a built-in measure with our fingers, more or less, the tip of our finger to the base of our fingernail is about 1/2 inch. And I'm going to go ahead, sorry I went ahead and preheated that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull that off, or my finger's going to fry when I stick it in there. I'm going to go ahead and put this in till that, yeah, it's okay. Till it's about 1/2 inch. If I have it less than 1/2 inch, there might be enough steam that escapes from my pan that I end up with all my water evaporating out. If it's more than that, again, our vegetable is going to be submerged in it. Our instructions tell us high heat. I've got my handle pointing to the side, and now I'm ready to prepare my vegetable. And again, carrots is what we're looking at. And I have a cutting board, I have my peeler, and I have pre-washed my vegetable. I'm going to ask that you take and peel your vegetable, not over the garbage can, because I know there's going to be peelings that go everywhere. And I am going to peel away from me. Why away from me? Because if I start in that habit of peeling towards me, that's when you get in the habit of removing a layer of flesh. Maybe there are some of you here who have done that with a peeler. That peeler is a 2-edged knife, and it'll just as soon remove the skin from you as it will off of this carrot. The peeling actually is pretty healthy for you. There's lots of good fiber in that, so I really want to get just the slightest little bit. Most of the nutrients are found near the surface of that skin, so if I take and remove a whole ton of it, I'm going to be removing a lot of the nutrients that are found there. You can see that I'm peeling about half the carrot to the tip, and then I'm going to go the other half of the carrot to the base, and just trying to remove that. If I don't remove the peel, it does some oxidation, which is some darkening, and kind of looks a little bit weird. Now I'm going to run over to my garbage can, and I'm going to toss this in the garbage can. Because my water's going like crazy, I just turned the heat down for 1/2 second. That's going to make it so that I don't lose any excess steam out the side. Maybe you can see that right here. And now I'm going to slice these into 1/4 inch slices. So if the tip to your fingernail base is 1/2 inch, I'm looking about half of that distance. I don't want to include any tails or any tips. Those are unsightly. People look at them and go, ooh, what's wrong with that? And if we're preparing food for other people, we have to consider what they're going to think. And I'm going to cut these into 1/2 inch slices. If you want to be fancy, cut on about a 45-degree angle. Have slightly more fancy. I think I like that looking better all the time. Little tricks like this make people think that you are a much better cook or chef than maybe you might even be. But we're going to assume that you can do this. I'm going to be careful as I get down here to my tip because I don't want to cut my fingernail or my finger. And I'm not doing this in any great hurry. I'm eyeballing this to all be about 1/4 inch because if I get some that are bigger and some that are smaller, they're going to cook at different rates. And then either I'm going to have super crunchy ones or I'm going to have super mushy ones. I want them all to be exactly the same. So I keep that thickness in mind as I go ahead and cut these carrots in 1/4 inch slices. I'm holding my knife correctly, and I'm going to try to keep my fingers out of the way. Here comes my claw because I'm getting close to it. A little bit nervous about that last one. I'm good. Pull it away. Make sure I don't get my one parts in. I'm going to lift up this lid so the steam goes away from me. I'm going to place these carrots in there, and the bulk of them are going to be sitting up on top of the water. We're going to steam them. I'll put my lid on, and because I reduced my heat to a low because it was boiling like crazy, I'm going to go ahead and return this all the way up to high. I am not timing this until that water comes back to a boil. But I won't leave it on high and boil furiously and vigorously, because if I do that, then again I'm going to lose some steam. So I can turn it to low. It will still produce the steam, but it won't be escaping out the sides. All right, so what happens while I'm waiting for this to come to a boil? Well, let's carry on with the next part of our instructions. The next part says that we're going to work with some parsley, and parsley is a leaf vegetable we refer to as an herb because we don't put an awful lot in, and I'm going to give you just an indiscriminate amount. It may be way too much, or it might be just perfect. When you're working with parsley, I don't want you to take and use these stems. If I had a food processor, well, yeah, then maybe I would. But when I'm cooking, if you eat this, it's like eating a piece of, I don't know, leaf. It's just like pithy, and it's tough, and it's like not good. We want just to use these tip ends, these leaf ends of the parsley. So we're going to remove them from the stems. And all I'm going to do, I could use a knife, I could use my kitchen shears, or I can simply take and pull all of this up to the top and give it a little and I pull off just the leaves. So I'm going to do that very quickly as I remove the leaf from the stem. There's many ways to do this. This is probably the fastest, truly, and the easiest way. Just kind of twist its little head. Oh, that sounds like such violence. I'm going to twist the head of just the leaves off, leaving behind all of these stems. I need about 1 tablespoon, so I'm kind of eyeballing this. I'll probably end up with about 2 tablespoons, to be honest with you, but this is kind of fun, and I'm waiting. Oh, look at my carrots. If you can see inside of there, it's coming back to a boil. And I'm going to take it right now. I'm going to reduce the temperature down to, I want it to keep boiling. I'm going to put it down to a medium-low, and I might reduce it even further as long as it maintains that boil, that simmer. So here goes my timer on this particular dish, and I'm going to set it for 12 to 15. I wonder what I should set it for. Did you say 12? Because you can always cook it longer. If that is the case, then you are correct. You can always cook it longer, so you do it for the least amount of times. Let's go ahead and finish ripping off the top of these parsley guys. Rip, 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 just a nice little twist. And that guy escaped from me, so I'm going to put that right together, and we are good with that. Now it says that we're going to take and finely chop this. I can take my French knife and go to town. I'm gonna get that carrot off, just kind of move it to the side because I don't want raw carrots in with this. And I can take this and I can just chop it like such. Or I always like to take and kind of roll it. This has a term, it's called a chiffonade. You kind of fake it till you make it into a roll. And then you can kind of do a lot of compact slicing. Again, notice how I'm holding the knife. Notice how I've got my fingers tucked under in a claw shape. And that will get me chopping up that parsley pretty quick. A couple of coarse chops this direction, and I think I'm good to go. I don't want these to be so tiny that people look at it and go, what the heck is all that green stuff all over? We want it to be able to be recognized as parsley. I'm going to take my 1 tablespoon measuring spoon, and I will say that's good enough. This right here, you could eat it. Good for your breath. But otherwise, I think we're good. We're going to come back when the 12 minutes is up and check it and see how we look, because everything else is just kind of hurry up and wait. Okay? See you back in a minute.